You walk into a room and your friend looks up and says, "Did you get a haircut?" You didn't, but you did sleep differently last night. And you've been quietly stressed for 3 days. How did they know something was off? You didn't say a word. You showed up, smiled, grabbed your coffee, and somehow they still caught it. These people exist. You probably know one. Maybe you are one. And there's a whole psychology behind why certain people pick up on the invisible signals the rest of us broadcast without realizing it. Because here's the thing. Noticing small changes in behavior isn't just about being observant. It's not a party trick. It's a deeply wired psychological pattern, and it says a lot about how someone's brain is organized, what they've been through, and what they're quietly protecting. Today we're going to break down 5 types of people who notice everything and what's really driving it beneath the surface. The empathic antenna. Picture this. You're at a dinner table with 8 people. Everyone's laughing, passing dishes, talking over each other, but one person at the end of the table keeps glancing at your quieter friend. The one who's laughing at the right moments, but not quite in it. Later, in the car ride home, that one person says, "Is she okay? Something felt off tonight." Nobody else noticed. They were too busy being in the scene. This person was watching the scene. Highly empathic individuals don't just feel emotions, they detect them. Their nervous systems are attuned to emotional frequencies the way a dog hears sounds we can't. Psychologists refer to this as affective empathy, and in people who score highly on it, the brain's mirror neuron system runs almost like a background program, constantly syncing with the emotional states of others, scanning for mismatches between expression and feeling. A slightly forced laugh, a pause before answering, "I'm fine." The way someone's eyes don't quite follow the smile. The empathic antenna notices the gap between performance and truth. And they can't not notice it. It's not a choice, it's almost a burden. Does that sound familiar? Maybe that's you at every dinner table, quietly carrying everyone's emotional weather while trying to eat your pasta. Then there's a different kind of noticer, one who isn't necessarily empathic by nature, but hypervigilant by history. They don't notice changes in others out of warmth, they notice out of survival. If you grew up in an unpredictable environment, a home where moods shifted without warning, where a parent's tone of voice meant you needed to recalibrate your entire evening, your brain learns something very early. Scan the room, always. Read faces, track energy, anticipate the shift before it arrives. That's not emotional intelligence, that's a trauma response that got quietly disguised as one. The anxious decoder can tell you the moment someone's energy shifted in a meeting. They know when a relationship is about to have a conversation neither person has started yet. They feel it in their chest before it becomes words. Psychologists call this hypervigilance, a nervous system that never fully switched off the threat detection alarm. It costs these people enormously because they're running emotional calculations in the background of every interaction all day, every day. If this one lands close to home, if you've ever felt exhausted by how much you pick up in a single room, be gentle with yourself. That radar was built to protect you. It just never learned when it was safe to rest. The intuitive pattern mappers. But here's the twist. Not every super noticer is emotionally driven. Some people notice small behavioral changes the way a mathematician notices a break in a sequence. It's cognitive, almost clinical, and quietly thrilling to them. They notice that a colleague who usually replies to emails in 20 minutes took 4 hours today. They notice their partner put the keys in a different place. They notice the barista didn't make the usual joke, and their brain immediately begins asking, why? These are intuitive pattern mappers, and their psychology is rooted in what researchers call need for cognitive closure, a deep drive to make the world predictable and legible. Uncertainty is uncomfortable for them, and patterns are how they stay oriented. They're often highly analytical, sometimes on the spectrum of traits associated with OCD or perfectionism, and they've built an internal database of normal for everyone in their life. A deviation from normal isn't just noticed, it's a signal that demands an explanation. The upside? These people often catch problems early, whether in a project, a relationship, or a friend's mental health. The downside? They can drive their partners mildly insane. You seem 7% quieter than usual. Are we okay? Yes, people are just allowed to be quiet. Another profile, and this one is fascinating. The relational historian doesn't just notice that you've changed today, they notice you've changed relative to 18 months ago. They remember how you used to talk about your job with excitement, and they notice, without making a big deal of it, that you haven't in a while. They remember what you ordered at that restaurant, how you laughed at that party, the offhand comment you made about your sisters 6 months ago. They hold a running archive of you, and when the current version doesn't match, they feel it. This is deeply tied to what attachment researchers call secure attunement in close relationships, the habit of tracking a person not just in the moment, but longitudinally. Relational historians tend to be deeply invested in the people they love. They don't just see you as you are right now, they hold a whole version of you built over time, and they notice when the edges shift. It sounds beautiful, and it is. It can also be quietly overwhelming to be that seen, especially when you weren't ready to be noticed. The self-projector. And finally, the most interesting type of all, and maybe the most overlooked. The self-projector notices small changes in others because they are acutely aware of small changes in themselves. They've spent years developing what psychologists call interoceptive awareness, the ability to feel internal emotional shifts with remarkable precision. They know when their own energy is low before they can name why. They know what anxiety feels like in their stomach versus what sadness feels like in their chest. Because they've mapped themselves so thoroughly, they recognize the topography in others. They see the slight withdrawal, the over-explaining, the manufactured cheerfulness, because they've done all of it too. They recognize the costume because they've worn it.
So, which one is you? The empathic antenna picking up everyone's frequency? The anxious decoder who learned to read rooms before they could read books? The pattern mapper running silent algorithms on everyone's behavior? The relational historian who holds a fuller version of you than you hold of yourself? Or the self-projector who found everyone else by going inward? There's no wrong answer here, and most people who notice everything are more than one of these at once. But understanding why you notice things, or why someone in your life seems to catch what everyone else misses, that changes how you relate to it. It stops being a quirk and starts being a window. If this video opens something for you, leave a comment below. I'm genuinely curious which type resonated most. And if you want more of this kind of deep dive into the psychology behind everyday behaviors, you know where the subscribe button is. It's been quietly waiting for you to notice it.